Spurs. One win from the Western Conference Finals.
Smersy beaucoup, my friend.
Oh, pas de quoi. The T-Wolves face elimination tomorrow back at the Target Center. Got to find a way to slow down Wemby. The Alien was the third youngest player in playoff history with a 25-15-5 game in a Game 5 behind only Luka and Magic Johnson. Chris Finch was asked today how his superstar, Anthony Edwards, can force this series back to San Antonio.
We need those games from him, that we know he can have, and so I think Ant's got a lot left in the tank. We talked about the 2-day break. We know he's going to be super aggressive coming out here. We know they're going to try to throw multiple bodies and multiple looks at him. The things that we're ready for, he's ready for, and we just got to get him a lot more shots.
I think no matter what, we have to stay physical. We have to stay focused on the game plan, and we have to keep bringing the effort. And then obviously offensively, I think a lot of it is spacing. Shots go in or they don't go in. That's basketball, but I think just keep trusting one another, keep spacing from one another, keep screening from one another, keep running from one another. All these things, I think, are really the things that we can't put aside. And if we do that, I think regardless of who's on the court, we put ourselves in a position to win.
Joined now by our very own Kendrick Perkins, an NBA champion in his own right. Perk, we got a couple teams facing elimination tomorrow night. Let's just keep it in this series. Start with Minnesota. Spurs looking to close it out. What must the Wolves do to force a Game 7?
Well, number one, they got to bring a level of physicality, right, and play with some passion and a sense of urgency. And yes, we know Anthony Edwards, he's all about that life, but Julius Randle, he got to show up. He has been non-existent when it comes to him playing in this series. Yes, he had a pretty decent game 1, but since then, he has fell off like no limit. And in order for the Timberwolves to get a win and stand a chance against this great Spurs team, he's going to have to be great offensively and defensively and impose his will. Anthony Edwards need help. At some point, Julius Randle has to help a brother out. I believe he will feed off the energy of the crowd, and he will do his best and put on a great performance and help push a Game 7.
Now, to the East, Perk, after a frustrating ending to Game 5, the Pistons find themselves in yet another elimination game. Which Piston needs to step up and help Cade Cunningham to force a Game 7?
Well, as we can see, they're all NBA caliber center. He's not going to help. The moment is just too big for him, and I'm talking about Jalen Duren. It got to be Tobias Harris. And Tobias Harris has been really, really good for the Pistons this postseason, and he's going to have to be great in Game 6 in order for them to extend this series, because Cade Cunningham is giving them everything and more, and you can tell he's running out of gas in the fourth quarter. So in that half-court set, in transition, Tobias Harris is going to have to find a way to get going. He loves the mid-post area. He loves catching the ball in position at that nail area to be able to go isolation and knock down timely threes. In order for the Pistons to advance, they're going to have to be better offensively and match the firepower of their dynamic backcourt in Harden and Donovan Mitchell. Otherwise, they're going to get their ass sent home.
Hey, Perkin, we saw the stat on screen. Tobias Harris back-to-back games, sub 20 points. Prior to that, he had gone 20 or more in 8 straight. Got Detroit to this point. Big Perk, thanks so much for joining us here on SportsCenter.
Your way, 8 o'clock Eastern on ESPN. All right, now let's go to the NBA. Warriors ended the Steve Kerr speculation, signing the coach to a 2-year deal that keeps him in Golden State for year 13 and 14. Sources say he'll be the highest NBA coach at $17.5 million per year. ESPN.com senior writer Ray Thompson wrote an illuminating profile on ESPN.com on the Kerr situation titled "Why Steve Kerr Stayed with the Warriors." And Wright joins us now. Wright, this is just a fascinating look into Kerr's decision-making process. From dealing with unresolved trauma to handling a fading dynasty, what did you learn about Kerr's journey as you profiled him this season?
I mean, some of it is universal that, leaving basketball or any of these sports that these guys do isn't retiring. It's sort of going into exile. And so watching him try to figure out who he had become in his 40-plus year basketball journey and who he might be when it was over was really beautiful and universal. I mean, like, one day, Kevin, both of us will leave ESPN that we've been so associated with. And like, it's interesting to think about, like, what's that first morning like? And so there was a lot of conversations with him about that, about trying to imagine who he would be without the sort of focus and grind and cocoon of the 82 game season.
Let's stay there because he loves actually that 82 game process, right? He loves Greg Popovich. He shared a story here where Pop said he was going to retire only days later to sign an extension to continue to coach in San Antonio. And there's a line in your profile here, quote, quitting basketball isn't retiring from a job, it's going into exile. Take us through the moment when Kerr decided to return.
So, I mean, it was an ongoing process, but there was definitely a moment where you watched whatever thoughts he had about fashioning a new kind of life evaporate in the white hot cauldron of a game. It was that play-in game against the Clippers in Los Angeles. And, it was incredible. Like, they clawed back at the end, and we got back in the locker room, and he sort of smiled and was like, I'm not leaving. And, like, he and I have, we both really laugh about sort of this joke about Pat Riley. One time, Pat looked at me and said, the greatest lie ever told. And I was like, what? And he was like, that I'm ever going to retire to Malibu. And so, like, all of these guys, they're in this thing. And it is, as you well know from your job, it's incredibly hard for them to walk away from it.
Yes. And then further in this profile, he said to you, quote, there's an honor in not chasing rings. That really stood out to me here in this 82-game journey and process year after year. In your time where you got to know Kerr during the season, what detail or story will stick with you moving forward?
I mean, maybe it's that moment you're describing. We were walking through the Presidio, the big park in San Francisco, and he started talking about, like, the honor of competing just to prove that you're a competitor. And not for the result, but to prove that, I am this guy. I mean, it's almost like samurai-like. And I just will never forget, his whole being changed. It was like he stepped on a live wire. And I think often we don't get to see why the people who are winners at the games we all love seem to win so much. Steve Kerr has been a part of 30 NBA seasons as an executive player and coach, and he's won a title in 9 of them. That's 30%. And when you get up close, you see their energy change when it comes into intersection with competition and with the idea of the fight being more important than the result. And that was really, as somebody who's been around sports for a long time, that was really cool to see, and I hope people like reading about it.
There is that line. You go in great detail, feeling that energy, feeling alive during certain moments when Clay goes off, when Steph goes off, and you're a part of that, and you did a phenomenal job taking us there. Why Steve Kerr stayed with the Warriors is on ESPN.com. The great Wright Thompson, an incredible job capturing the experience in those words, right? Thank you so much. Themselves in a great spot considering how well they play at home. And a closer look here, the dynamic duo, the key in Game 5. Harden had his highest scoring output of the playoffs, but was especially good defensively, holding the Pistons to 4 of 16 shooting when he was the primary defender. On the other hand, Spida took over in clutch time, making more buckets in OT than he had in clutch time through his first 11 playoff games. Let's not forget what he did in the previous game, dropping 39 in the second half. For much more on Donovan Mitchell and the Cavs, let's bring in senior NBA writer at Anscape. That is Mark J. Spears. My man, Mark, you've been covering Donovan all year via a diary over on Anscape. What have you seen from the Cavs star forward over the last 3 games as Cleveland seeks a berth in the Eastern Conference Finals, now up 3 games to 2?
Well, it's been a roller coaster playoff so far for Donovan, who basically is about to play the biggest game of his career for several reasons. 1, he's never made the conference finals in his career. 2, the Cavaliers have not made the conference finals without LeBron James. The last time was in 2018. And 3, if the Cavaliers win tomorrow, he gets to play his hometown New York Knicks. This is a kid from the New York area whose dad worked for the Mets, and the Mets basically put food on his table growing up. He's a kid that was a New York basketball star. He went to Knicks games growing up. Playing in Madison Square Garden means more to him than any place in the league but Cleveland. So for him, it would be a homecoming and a first opportunity to truly make it to the NBA Finals. And if he could go in there and stomp the buildings like Snoop did back in the day and get to the finals in his hometown, that will be something that will certainly bring a lot of emotion and meaning to Donovan Mitchell. But he got to win first.
He's got to win first. That's the big storyline. You got to close the deal. Both him and James Harden, they get 2 tries to get to the Eastern Conference Finals. Let's go to the draft here. We're over a month away. You reported that the Wizards expected to use their number 1 pick, but they're also picking up the phone if someone calls, listening to offers. Ton of talent at the top here. This entire lottery is stacked. A.J. Debonsa, Darren Peterson, Carlos Boozer, Caleb Wilson. I mean, you have so much talent in the top 4. I haven't even got to the bottom part of that top 10. You've spoken to Debonsa recently. What are you hearing about his potential path to the number 1 pick in this upcoming draft?
He wants to be number 1. He feels like he deserves to be number 1. The Wizards met with him in Chicago, as they did several other players as well. The interesting thing is the Wizards aren't just going to bring him in to D.C. for a workout. A workout has not been scheduled yet, nor has just a general visit. But they're going to bring in multiple players. That's probably going to add Peterson. It's probably going to maybe mean Caleb Wilson. Maybe Boozer comes in as well. So Debonsa is expected to get the be the number 1 guy. But keep in mind, a team like the Utah Jazz is very, very high on him, wants to bring the BYU kid back to Utah. They could try to trade up. I wonder if Milwaukee, dangles a guy like Giannis to try to get up to him. So right now, I also heard that Debonsa also talked to other teams in Chicago as well. So that tells me that, keep an eye on this. The expectation is he would go number 1 to D.C., but what do the Wizards have cooking to potentially do otherwise?
Now, keep in mind, too, Debonsa, if he were to be the number 1 pick, he'd be the first player from BYU to go number 1 overall. We'll see who's actually making
Danny
that
Ainge
pick
didn't do
on
it.
June 23rd. What's that? Who?
Danny Ainge didn't do it?
No, Danny Ainge did not do it. No. Don't give that to Danny. Danny's a Hall of Fame GM guy, but he found himself on the Celtics. Remember, he was a